In a world racing forward with technology, where people chase after fleeting pleasures and the next big thing, humanity has begun to lose sight of its deepest roots. Our ancestors, who lived simpler lives, carried with them the wisdom of faith and a reverence for something greater than themselves. They taught us to believe in God and to fear Him not out of terror, but out of awe and respect for His power and mercy. Yet here we are today in a generation obsessed with speed and entertainment. We've created technologies that make life easier, and we fill our days with distractions, telling ourselves we don't have time for the things that truly matter. We say, I have to do this, or I need to accomplish that. But when it comes to God, the creator of time itself, we brush Him aside. I don't have time for prayer. I'm too busy to reflect. I'll get to it later, we say. But what if God turned to us and said, I don't have time for you? Imagine the weight of that. What if, in the moment you needed Him most, He decided to prioritize something else, like how we often prioritize trivial things over Him? What if, in a moment of crisis, you cried out for help, only to hear silence because God decided He had something more important to do? It's an unthinkable scenario, yet many of us treat our relationship with the divine this way. This world has become one where we've mistaken self-reliance for independence from God. We've confused temporary joy for eternal happiness. We are caught up in the pursuit of power, wealth, and entertainment, as if these will fulfill us in the end. But the truth is, none of these things can offer what faith can: a deep and unshakable foundation, a sense of purpose beyond the material, and the peace that comes from knowing you are part of a grand design. Our ancestors knew this. They lived with their eyes on the eternal, even as they faced hardships far greater than most of us know today. They didn't forget God when things got busy. They built their lives around Him because they understood that without Him, everything else is meaningless. The message is clear. It's time to remember who we are and where we come from. It's time to reclaim the faith and wisdom that was passed down to us. Because in the end, no amount of technology or fun can replace the profound connection we were created to have with God. Don't wait until it's too late to make time for Him. What if He stops making time for you? Let this be a reminder. Life is short and eternity is long. Don't exchange what is eternal for what is temporary. It's time to turn back to the roots, to listen to the ancient wisdom, and to make God the center once again. As we move further into this era of distraction, the consequences of forgetting our roots are becoming more evident. Families are fractured, communities are divided, and a deep emptiness seems to echo within the hearts of many. We've built societies of convenience and comfort, but lost our sense of connection, both to each other and to the divine purpose that our ancestors held so dear. Look around at how many people are searching for meaning in all the wrong places. We chase after wealth, fame, and pleasure, thinking that these will fill the void. But each new achievement or thrill leaves us emptier than before, because we were never meant to build our lives on these shifting sands. As a society, we've invested heavily in the material world, only to find that it offers nothing lasting in return. Our ancestors, on the other hand, understood the value of living with an eternal perspective. They feared God, not because they were afraid of punishment, but because they understood His greatness. They knew that all things come from Him, the very breath in our lungs, the food on our tables, the moments of joy we experience. They lived with gratitude, humility, and a deep sense of responsibility to honor the one who created it all. Today, people talk about freedom, but real freedom comes from living in alignment with God's will. We think we're free when we live for ourselves, but in truth, we're becoming slaves to our own desires. We're shackled by the need for approval, by the pursuit of things that never satisfy. The more we run from God, the more bound we become to the things that drag us down. What's worse is that we often recognize the problem, but we continue to delay addressing it. We think, I'll make time for God when I'm older, or when I have more free time. But life is unpredictable. None of us know how much time we have left. God is patient, but His patience is not to be taken for granted. Every moment we push Him away is a moment. We risk losing our connection to the very source of life itself. Consider what would happen if God turned away from us the way we so often turn away from Him. If the Creator of the universe no longer sustained us, no longer extended His mercy, we would collapse in an instant. Every good thing we take for granted, to love one another, to seek truth, comes from Him. We may not see it in the busyness of our lives, but without His grace, nothing would stand. And yet God never asks for much. He doesn't demand all our time, nor does he call us to abandon the world. He asks for our heart, for us to remember him in the way we live and the choices we make. He calls us to live in a way that honors his goodness and to place our trust in him above all else. It's not about rituals or rigid rules, it's about relationship. It's about recognizing that without him, all our striving is in vain. So let us remember the teachings of our ancestors. Let us not allow the noise of modern life to drown out the whisper of eternity that calls to each of us. No matter how advanced our technology becomes, no matter how much fun or excitement the world offers, there will always be a part of us that longs for something deeper, something eternal. We must make time for God, not because he needs us, but because we desperately need him. We need his guidance, his strength, his peace. In a world that is increasingly chaotic, he is the only constant. He is the only one who can fill the void in our hearts and give us the sense of purpose and fulfillment we crave. Let this be the moment we wake up. Let this be the moment we stop making excuses, stop delaying, and start seeking God with all our hearts. Because in the end, when everything else fades away, he will still be there. The question is, will we? We have to ask ourselves, what legacy are we leaving for future generations? Are we passing down the same wisdom that was given to us? Or are we letting it die in the rush of modern life? The world needs more than ever to return to God, to rediscover the truth that has always been there, waiting for us to remember. The time is now. Let's turn back to God before it's too late. In an era dominated by technology and fleeting pleasures, humanity risks losing sight of its ancestral wisdom, the teachings of faith, and reverence for God. This compelling narrative explores the consequences of neglecting our spiritual foundations, urging readers to recognize the emptiness that often accompanies modern distractions. Through a heartfelt call to action, it emphasizes the importance of making time for God in our busy lives and reestablishing a deep connection with the divine. As we navigate the complexities of contemporary existence, this story serves as a poignant reminder that true fulfillment lies not in material pursuits but in embracing the eternal truths. As the sun rises over a bustling city, people emerge from their homes, smartphones in hand, ready to tackle another day. The world is a blur of movement, where every second counts and time is a luxury few can afford. Each individual is caught up in the race for success, jobs, promotions, social media likes, while the still, small voice of God is drowned out by the clamor of ambition. In this chapter, we delve into the lives of everyday people, revealing their struggles with emptiness and the relentless pursuit of validation in a world that often feels indifferent. Interwoven with personal stories are reflections on the lives of our ancestors, who understood the importance of faith and community. They built lives centered around shared beliefs, rituals, and a connection to something greater than themselves. Through their eyes, we learn the significance of spending time in prayer, gathering with loved ones, and engaging with the natural world as a means of connecting with God. Their teachings offer a roadmap for navigating the complexities of modern life, revealing timeless truths that still resonate today. In a society that prides itself on freedom and choice, we must confront the reality that true freedom is found in surrender. This chapter explores the paradox of independence and how our relentless pursuit of self-determination often leads to spiritual bondage. It examines how we can become enslaved to our desires, anxieties, and the pressures of modern living, losing sight of the peace that comes from trusting in God's plan. Here we reflect on stories of individuals who discovered liberation by embracing faith and the profound impact it had on their lives. As we reach a critical juncture, this chapter serves as a wake-up call. It challenges readers to reassess their priorities, urging them to carve out time for God amidst the chaos of everyday life. Personal testimonies highlight transformative experiences of reconnecting with faith, emphasizing the joy and purpose that comes from investing in a relationship with the divine. Practical steps are outlined for how to incorporate faith into daily routines, fostering a deeper sense of spirituality and community. The story culminates in a powerful reflection on the legacy we pass on to future generations. What values will we instill in our children and grandchildren? Will we equip them with the wisdom of faith, or will we allow the distractions of modern life to overshadow the teachings that matter most? This chapter emphasizes the responsibility we carry as stewards of our beliefs, encouraging a return to the roots that grounded our ancestors. It calls for intentional living, where faith becomes the cornerstone of our existence, shaping not only our lives, but the lives of those who come after us. In the concluding remarks, we are reminded that while the world continues to change at an unprecedented pace, the truth of God remains constant. Our journey back to faith is not just a personal endeavor, it's a collective movement that can transform communities and rekindle a sense of belonging. As we embrace the eternal amidst the transient, we find that in turning back to our roots, we discover a source of hope and strength that transcends the challenges of modern life. Through these chapters, Return to the Roots, Rediscovering. Faith in a Modern World becomes a rallying cry for individuals seeking to reconnect with their faith, reclaim their purpose, and foster a meaningful existence rooted in the teachings of our ancestors. It's an invitation to step back from the chaos, make time for God, and experience the profound joy that comes from living in alignment with eternal. In an era dominated by technology and fleeting pleasures, humanity risks losing sight of its ancestral wisdom, the teachings of faith, and reverence for God. This compelling narrative explores the consequences of neglecting our spiritual foundations, urging readers to recognize the emptiness that often accompanies modern distractions. Through a heartfelt call to action, it emphasizes the importance of making time for God in our busy lives and reestablishing a deep connection with the divine. As we navigate the complexities of contemporary existence, this story serves as a poignant reminder that true fulfillment lies not in material pursuits but in embracing the eternal truths our ancestors cherished. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become lost in the noise. We wake up each morning, reach for our smartphones, emails, and social media updates. Our lives have become a cacophony of responsibilities, ambitions, and distractions that pull us further away from the core of our existence. As we navigate our daily routines, we often forget the deeper questions that our ancestors pondered. Why are we here? What is our purpose? What does it mean to live a life of faith? For generations, humanity has thrived on a foundation of shared beliefs and values. Our ancestors understood the importance of faith, community, and reverence for a higher power. They instilled in us the notion that life is not just about individual achievement, but about contributing to something greater than ourselves. They taught us to believe in God, not merely as a distant figure, but as an ever-present guide who provides wisdom, and immediately plunge into a whirlwind of notifications, strength and solace in times of trouble. In their world, prayer was not an afterthought, but a way of life. It was a source of connection, a reminder of the divine purpose behind every action. However, as we've advanced technologically, we've become increasingly absorbed in the superficial aspects of life. The rise of social media and constant connectivity has created an illusion of community, while simultaneously fostering isolation. People are more connected than ever, yet many feel lonelier than before. We often equate our worth with our online presence, measuring our lives against curated images of success, happiness, and fulfillment. The whispers of our ancestors have faded into the background, replaced by the incessant demands of modern living. We tell ourselves, "I'll pray later," or "I'll read that book on spirituality when I have more time." But the truth is, we often prioritize our schedules over our souls. We fill our calendars with meetings, events, and activities, believing that busyness equates to productivity. Yet, in doing so, we neglect the spiritual nourishment that is essential for our well-being. In this race for validation, in embracing faith, we rediscover our true selves. We recognize that we are not defined by our achievements, but by our character and the values we uphold. We begin to understand that our worth is intrinsic, grounded in the belief that we are created in the image of God. This realization allows us to approach life with humility, gratitude, and a sense of purpose that transcends our daily struggles. Reconnecting with our faith also opens the door to forgiveness and healing. Many of us carry burdens from past mistakes, regrets, or relationships that have left scars on our hearts. When we turn to God, we find a wellspring of grace that allows us to release those burdens and embrace a new beginning. In faith, we discover that we are not alone in our struggles. We are part of a larger story, woven into the fabric of humanity, that has faced trials and triumphs throughout history. As we embark on this journey back to our roots, it's essential to recognize the legacy we wish to leave for future generations. What values will we pass down to our children? Will we teach them the importance of faith, the significance of community, and the beauty of connecting with something greater than themselves? Or will we allow the distractions of modern life to overshadow these teachings, leaving them adrift in a world that often prioritizes the superficial over the sacred? The choice is ours. We can choose to embrace the wisdom of our ancestors and make a conscious effort to integrate faith into our daily lives. We can cultivate environments where spirituality is celebrated, where conversations about God and purpose are welcomed, and where the next generation can thrive in the knowledge that they are part of a larger story. Rediscovering faith in a modern world is a call to action. It invites us to reflect on our lives, reassess our priorities, and recommit to a relationship with God. As we turn back to our roots, we not only enrich our own lives, but also pave the way for a more meaningful and connected future. In doing so, we rediscover the profound joy that comes from living in alignment with the eternal truths our ancestors cherished, and pass that legacy on to those who come after us. Let this be the moment we awaken from our slumber, reclaim our spiritual heritage, and make the time for God that our souls so desperately need. In this return to faith, we find our purpose, our community, and ultimately, our true selves.